Did you hit the go live?
I did. Hello. Hello, all four of you watching.
4?
Our popularity is growing by the minute. Oh, no, down to 3.
Oh. See, you started talking. That's what happened.
If only I hadn't spoken.
Oh, did you guys turn it on?
Yeah.
Guys.
Ooh, I went to the other room to get special
Guys.
headphones.
Look at this.
Those are fancy.
I'll tell you about these in a second.
They're gold chrome.
I'll tell you about those in a second.
The man who's...
It looks like a Thanos headdress. That movie is real good, by the way.
Yeah, I got all the spoilers. I just always want to know what's happening. Yeah, I never just not a I'm just lame.
When Captain America gains control over Thor's hammer, I thought I was gonna pee my pants. I just realized that I just said a spoiler, so but I guess that's not a bad one though. That doesn't
Did you
give
just
anything
spoil
away.
it?
Somebody's probably gonna murder me now.
6 watching. Who's here? Say hello.
Did anyone just hear me spoil Avengers?
Identify yourself.
But it was just a very minor spoiler. It's not like I said that Arya Stark or
Shut up. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Jenna. We're going to start soon. Eric's doing something.
We're using my laptop to do this tonight, so I can't read the comments.
Oh, really? Well, people have been saying really mean things about you that you've missed.
I bet they are.
Man. I won't read them back. I don't want to.
Talking to the mics.
Check testing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Talking to the mic.
Yes, that's how
Check.
radio and podcasting works. You're talking to a microphone.
Yeah, but check. Check, check, check. Check, 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 check.
Check 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are the Mouths of the South. Forever. We love Atlanta. And peaches. And
Just for free.
winning soccer games. Millions of peaches. Peaches for free.
Guys, I don't know how I feel about these headphones. I feel like I'm going to break them.
They're fancy, man. I mean, you legit look like you're wearing Thanos' helmet.
Everybody hear us okay? Through the mic, we're using a different little setup than last time, so just want to make sure.
Can I highlight you? Let me highlight you.
All right. If you're watching now, please, if you would, throw the link on Twitter, throw the link on Facebook.
Share it with your friends.
Share the love, please. We appreciate it.
I mean,
are appreciated.
You do like your friends, don't you? And you want them to be happy and you get great content, don't you? Well, then share the link with your friend.
Can I tell you about these headphones real quick, or should I say
Yeah,
for
you
the
can.
actual podcast?
What do you think? Is this worthy of starting the podcast?
It's going to trump what we would originally want to start the podcast.
Well, I still want to rant about
Wait a minute.
So we're talking about 15 minutes of non-soccer talk for the podcast.
Do those headphones belong to someone that's over 7 feet tall?
Let me finish with it.
Okay, I know where he's going with
You
this.
start with your...
I have figured out where he's going with this.
Who, Eric or me?
Eric. And I think
So, do we need to go to a vote?
What?
Or you and I, because I'm going to say these trump Game of Thrones.
Why don't you start with that and I'll finish with my Game of Thrones.
How about we put it out there to everyone else? We'll tell both stories.
All right, on the Slack chat, on the YouTube stream.
Game of Thrones is not that
Quick
good.
vote. Game of Thrones isn't that good, or the story behind these headphones. And look at these headphones.
It's a pretty good story behind those headphones.
What is the story behind them?
That's a great impression.
You went and got them.
Well, I just I gotta have big headphones.
You guys make the vote. Go ahead. Just hashtag headphones, hashtag Game of Thrones.
What a fun.
Let me just go check the levels.
Do you want to know the story? Eric went into another room and got the headphones. That's the story.
Everybody always talking about the mountain and the hound.
Anyways, I thought
What
Game
about
of
the big
Thrones
cactus?
was
The big
very
cactus.
cliche.
Well, yeah.
How
I mean,
many freaking times does someone get saved right before they get killed? I mean, come on. It's like
this is my thing about this episode of Game of Thrones. It's like everybody after episode 2 is like, oh no, they're going to kill off all our favorite characters next week. And then when that didn't happen, everybody's like, why didn't they kill more of my
That's not
favorite
mine.
characters?
I watch Game of Thrones to see horrible things happen.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was kind of hoping for, I agree, because of how lovey-dovey episode 2 was, I was expecting episode 3 to be a lot more carnage than it was.
So we'll finish. It's better to finish with it anyway, and then we can say at the last 5 minutes there's going to be spoilers for Game of Thrones.
But I am opening myself up now to the possibilities of these last 3 episodes now, because I thought this whole battle thing was going to stretch out for a long time, and now that it's not.
Yeah, that was surprising. So. All right, we'll start with your story.
Cool. It may not be that long. Just
Well, it's not that good a story. So.
I mean, I feel special.
I'd say it's a pretty good story.
I feel special.
All right, let's do a
Hold on.
podcast.
I wonder if people have figured out.
I
what
gotta
we're
throw it
talking
out on.
Is my impersonation good enough for people to have known
You
what
won.
we were talking about?
You won 2-1. Jenna and Michelle want the headphone story.
Congratulations, Eric.
Yeah, good for you.
It's actually spot on right there. So if you can figure out what Sam is doing,
That's probably my best impersonation, honestly.
it's not bad. It's not bad.
I mean, it's not the best ever, but it's not terrible.
It's pretty good. All right, one more. And
I was about to just.
I like that you can see the.
oh, you guys looking at me in the
No, taking out. You can.
Well,
see
the guy we're talking
the
about,
back.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
in Eric's story, I had a shirt when I was in, like, it was like my PE shirt for elementary school, and on the back was this guy's handprint. But it was like his actual size hand.
Oh my god!
You ready to go?
Let's do this.
What's up, Atlanta? This is the MOTS Podcast brought to you by Dirty South Soccer and the Palatial 680 The Fan Studios. I am Eric Quintana. Next to me, Josh Bagriansky, and across from me, Sam Franco. The trio. The trio.
I like Threo.
Trio. The trio amigo. No, never mind. I tried.
Does that
Gentlemen.
mean like the police are coming, but not that bad, as opposed to 5-0? You say 3-0.
the
That's not what I thought
Threo.
of, but
It's like
sure.
Oh, it's only 3.
that's just the Canadian Mounties coming. Not,
So I don't want you.
Trio.
I don't want you to describe what we're about to talk about next. Don't describe these things
Okay.
because I want to encourage people to go to the YouTube channel to see it for themselves.
That's a good call.
Maybe subscribe to the YouTube channel, MOTS Podcast on YouTube.
Yeah, you need a visual of what Eric.
You
is
do need a
wearing.
visual of these.
Yeah.
I've got on some headphones.
They're very.
They're not my normal headphones.
No, you look
I
kind of like
forgot-
Thanos.
I forgot my backpack. It's got my laptop. It's got my headphones. I forgot all that stuff at home. I had an off day today. I got up on the wrong side of the bed
That happens.
and fell off. And
Oh no.
If people determine what the right side of the bed is,
the right side.
So it is. So the right side is literally the right side.
It is now.
Fair enough.
I'm
gonna try that
I
tomorrow.
encourage you if you want to see the headphones that I've got on, go to the YouTube channel, MOTS Podcast. Subscribe to the
Yeah,
channel.
while you're there, subscribe.
Are you
And
gonna
then-
call those gold or platinum?
You just ruined it.
Platinum or gold,
How's it ruin it? I think if people want to go see them.
one or the other. You'll have to find out for yourself by going to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to
I
the
don't think.
podcast.
I just don't think it's that cool. I guess. But,
Is Shaq pretty cool?
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Hey, how y'all doing?
There he is, live and in person.
Yeah, I just decided to let Eric borrow my headphones.
He's all right.
Yeah, so
He looks
Shaq
a little
does-
bit like Sam.
Shaq does his podcast with John Kincaid here. I think it's called The Big Podcast.
Yeah, it's like, or something
and
like that.
it's very sports topical and everything. So it's exactly what you think John Kincaid and Shaq would do in regards to a podcast. Now that the playoffs are going on, I'm sure they're hot and heavy into that.
I mean, it's Shaq. Everything that guy does.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's great.
Mhm.
But I forgot my headphones, so I was scrambling to see where exactly I could find some. And I walked into the Braves Radio Network, and they didn't have any. And one of the guys there is actually works on the Big Podcast with Shaq and John Kincaid. And he hands me some headphones that are in some case. He's like, you know what? Hold on. Actually, take these. These are Shaq's.
Oh, so you were wearing Shaquille O'Neal's
These
headphones.
are Shaquille O'Neal's headphones.
Okay, so that's a little bit cooler. I didn't. Okay, so you didn't tell us that
see,
part of
you
the
just
story.
missed the story.
Well, you
The
told
point was to wait until we actually were on air, until we were recording,
Mhm. Right.
to add a little value, add a little shock.
Yeah, well, you did add a little value to it. It's a much better story. So yeah, you can see Shaquille O'Neal's actual headphones he uses here in the 680 studios. They are donning Eric's head for the podcast tonight.
First of all, I would like to say that the Mouse of the South is the best MLS podcast out there. Y'all got to listen to it. It's the best. It's the best podcast y'all ever listen to. I'm telling you, if you like MLS, you like Atlanta United, you're going to love the Mouse of the South.
Can we just start saying this is Shaq's listens every week and have Sam do a little sound bite? Shaq, not
Sam.
Sam.
Sam's not here.
That's Shaquille O'Neal.
That's Shaquille O'Neal.
Eric Quintana, the host with the most, but I do got to say, DJ Diesel is going to need those headphones back for his headline set at Lollapalooza in August, so just don't mess him up, okay?
Wow, I can't believe Shaquille O'Neal gracing the podcast.
Put him back in one piece.
Dude, was that DJ Diesel? Oh, no way!
It's officially the best start of this podcast.
What a night.
Ever.
Yeah, that's what I think's going
He really is DJ Diesel, though, and he wait, turn your head for a second. Is there a Superman logo on the side of those?
There is, no, so it's 24 karat pure monster. They're monster headphones.
Those are nice. Big ups to Shaq.
They feel comfortable.
But no, he literally is DJ Diesel, and he headlines music festivals. He goes around and
maybe one size too big, but
he played Ultra down in Miami, and he did that thing out here, but before the Super Bowl where Migos played, and it was Shaq's Funhouse, and he spins. He's actually a pretty good DJ. So if you need
they do their podcast across the street at the Sport and Social.
Oh yeah,
now and then they did it last week. They made a big deal out of it,
just a live show kind of deal.
Yeah, that sort of thing. All right, should we get to the events of the weekend?
Sure. Let's talk about soccer.
Atlanta United 1-0 victors over the Colorado Rapids. A lot of people upset at how it was done. I'm happy that we got 3 points at all.
That's first and foremost. You got to be happy that you got 3 points.
Got to be happy you got 3 points,
especially with the way the season is going.
Exactly. I don't think you can't take anything for granted. 3 points is 3 points, regardless of how you get them. Especially with how this, like you said, Sam. Especially with how the season has gone. Your initial reactions from the match, and you were in the stands. We actually tailgated a little bit. Sam, I don't know where you watched it from.
Parts unknown.
But what initial reactions about the match?
Well, first and foremost, the first
without getting too deep, but
yeah, within the first, I don't know, it was 30 or 40 minutes after the game. Somebody sent me the heat map for the game, and I told both of you that as soon as I saw the heat map, I wanted to puke.
Yeah.
Because a very easy excuse, after the Dallas game, you heard a lot of possession without meaning or meaningless possession. And in the Dallas game, that wasn't true.
Right.
Because, they were putting a lot of chances on goal. Unfortunately, you do need to convert those chances to win games. And that's another story for another day. But they were creating chances. In this game, if you look at the heat map,
no, it's crazy.
There is basically it's between the 8 teams. Atlanta United has one big red blob, and then there's nothing on either goal. Mm-hmm. So Colorado wasn't doing a whole lot to get forward and try to create themselves, and they were bunkering in. But Josh, you said something to me on the way over here that I agree with. They're not good at that. They're a bad defensive team. So Atlanta still should have been able to put way more chances on goal. They still should have been able to be more creative and be more dynamic, and they regressed heavily from the Dallas game in that regard.
I think it's interesting. Obviously we are happy with the 3 points, but at this point in the season, you're adjusting to a new manager. It's early anyway. A lot of it is more about the performance and the result, and that's why we came here after the Dallas match last week and said, you got a little bit unlucky. We saw some progress in terms of playing DeBoer's system and creating chances. This game, I don't necessarily want to use the word regression, Sam, although you could certainly make that argument. Because
if you're saying it was progress in a losing effort against Dallas,
I do think you can make the argument that it was a game where Atlanta United had a lot of possession again and weren't able to create a lot of chances.
Wait, Eric, are you saying it was regression or it wasn't?
That it wasn't regression.
Okay.
You're saying it was a bit of regression, or you can make the argument that it was regression.
But to me, if we see this again against Kansas City this weekend. I think it's going to be a completely different type of game. Then we can say, okay, maybe you're back to those early season days where you weren't creating anything.
That's why it's hard to make snap judgments, though, because a lot of people wanted to make snap judgments after the Dallas game, and it's there was progress there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Eric. I think overall you're still trending upward, but it is discouraging in the sense that, as you kind of mentioned, Sam, a lot of people are talking about Colorado's bunker and, that they drop back and play defense. Colorado has bad defenders. That should
and
be,
a bad agent.
So if you're going to go at a bad back four, a let's be real, a well over the hill goalkeeper in Tim Howard, and a team that's not even trying to get forward against you, you should create more goal scoring opportunities than that. So that's what was discouraging to me. This wasn't like, it wasn't like a Mourinho park the bus type thing where you have a bunch of great players out there that can do it. I mean, they were talking about a team that started a 16-year-old at right back, and played a center back at center mid and Danny Wilson. So to me, yes, the way Colorado played, so cynical, playing a 5-4-1, absolutely was a big reason that we didn't see a lot of goal-scoring opportunities. But when I look at them player to player, if you're challenging those defenders time and time again, you're gonna find more success in the last third. And in the end, you look at it, Atlanta United spend close to 50% of the game is spent in the middle third of the pitch. That just shouldn't be happening. A team that's literally dropping into their own third and inviting you into that space.
Look, I wasn't surprised at the reaction after the game. I knew that as soon as we didn't score in the first 30 minutes, as soon as it was 0-0 at halftime, I knew what the reaction was going to be. I could already write that story.
Yeah, you could see that coming a mile away. Yeah.
I knew Devin was going to be happy.
He was a little happier after the match this week. Devin, for real, we love you.
For real? But for real. I mean, you could already write, your post-game comments. You could already go ahead and write that post-match tweet. You could already do all those things because you knew it wasn't progress. You were still looking stagnant. There wasn't a lot in the attack. I don't understand what people expected against a team like Colorado because it's not like Atlanta United has proven they can just absolutely outclass and outperform a team that's doing exactly what Colorado did.
And they struggled to break down the bunker last year.
What instance in the last 2 years have Atlanta United been able to ever show that they're competent in breaking down, a team that defended two buses?
Is that true?
Or a team that
is that what games would you point to where a team bunkered and Atlanta United didn't have? I mean, I
can go back. They
struggled against the
beginning of 2017. I can go up all the way up until last week.
But I look at
you give me a look at the Houston game where I think Joseph Martinez gets a hat trick. And that didn't happen until like the 75th minute.
No, I see what you're saying.
And the entire time, it looked exactly the same. It wasn't until Assad found a way to get Joseph the ball.
I don't think you can look at a team with P.T. Martinez, Joseph Martinez, Ezekiel Barco, Julian Gressel, Darlington Nagbe, and say, they didn't create chances because the other team sat back.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. The heat map, like we're looking at, that is really telling in this game too, just because the ball wasn't getting there. The attempts weren't easy.
I agree it was always going to be difficult because they were going to sit back. I mean, this formation, literally playing a 5-4-1 is like – it's really an admission. And Anthony Hudson said as much after the match that they were playing. There was a gulf of class between his side and Atlanta United. And that's why
he realized it.
He literally said that. I mean, it's some incredible quotes. Go check them out post-match.
But you
should be creating more chances to score.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I still think that – and look, this is where I will kind of bang on Frank DeBoer and Atlanta United as a whole. You should know what you're going up against, and you should be able to, as talented as you are, create more. But the expectation from the last 2 years has shown me, or the experience from the last 2 years has shown me that I shouldn't have that expectation, that I should expect – look, we should go in the next 3 matches not expecting anything. We should expect losses, honestly, in the next 3 matches because we don't know what we're going to get out of this team against the type of teams that we're playing up against. Because we're not going to see the same thing we saw against Colorado, against SKC. And moving forward, we're going to see all sorts of different things from teams that are going to figure out how best to confront a team as talented player for player as Atlanta United. But I didn't go into this match expecting 4 or 5. I told you, it's like the one thing Colorado can do, maybe you don't think it's very well, but what they did well this past weekend was defend on the low block.
Yeah, 2 of them. I mean, it was crazy to watch.
They know how to park 2 buses, as Frank DeBoer said. That's the one thing that they can competently sort of do. And that's what they did. And you go into a match against Atlanta United knowing that they just proved to you they could.
They conceded 23 goals this
They
season.
just proved to Atlanta United they could.
They bunker because they're bad. They don't bunker because they're good.
It's a necessity, but imagine going into a game knowing you have to be on top of your game, playing the way that you need to play against a team like Atlanta United in terms of bunkering.
Sure.
And they did that better than I expected.
Okay, if they had a game plan for Atlanta, well, then where was Atlanta's counter? You know what I mean? Where was Frank DeBoer with ideas and a philosophy on how to break down the bunker, how to break down the press?
So I don't disagree with you, but where were Tatas?
Well, no, you're totally right because I think
he struggled with the same thing.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that, but at the same time,
this is not a coaching thing for me. This is a player figuring out how to best navigate what's going on.
Well, but also comparing it to Tata, that was a fool's errand because A, Tata's not coming back, and B, Frank needs to show progress, and Frank DeBoer isn't Tata Martino. He needs to be, his own guy in that regard, and he has to figure out some sort of way that, hey, if they're going to do that, well, then we have to counter and figure out something.
I still got the feeling under Tata Martino and team's bunker that the team, there was still a positivity, a directness when they needed to be direct.
That's what it is.
They did pick their spots in the final third. What worried me about this, I don't know if it was tactical or it was just, was the non-aggressiveness of the possession. Once again, I point to that statistic, almost half of the play in the middle third of the pitch. You need to see more in the final third.
I did feel like they spent most of the first half, all of the first half, just basically playing carefully, playing too careful. Yeah. And it wasn't until the second half where you noticed immediately they were like, all right, well, we got to play over the top. We got to open this game up a little more. We got to and the balls that were played over the top weren't even that great, but at least they were trying. And I think I tweeted out at one point, it's like you can't tell me that they're just circulating the ball because there's a clear directive, it seemed, to get Barco in the middle of the field, to get Pitti in the middle of the field, to work the ball into the middle of the final third.
Although Barco was out wide, though.
But he shipped it inside with the ball. Yeah, he was definitely going inside. It didn't pan out for him. They lost the ball. They gave up possession. It was a bad pass. They got defended well. Again, the only thing that I think Colorado did well is defending Atlanta United's best opportunities. And that's Pitti and Barco in the middle, towards centrally in the final third.
Well, and that, we talk about.
I don't know if we know that about Pitti yet. By the way, I don't know if he's.
And we're gonna have our little Pitti talk here soon because that's the big talking point right now, PT. But I thought, if we're talking about Frank DeBoer, I thought the biggest mistake that he made in this match, and I've defended him a lot, and I will still defend him. And I think the Tito sub was fantastic. We talk about what were some of his ideas. He had one and it worked.
That was one. That's
Tito in, going to a back three for a little bit and getting a little more aggressive. But I thought it defies logic to me that you start Barco, and I know he's instructed to come into the middle, but that you start Barco on the left, P.T. Martinez at the 10 underneath the striker after 2 weeks where Barco has been your best player from the cam position. And P.T. Martinez, if you look at the chances he created in this match, they came from wide areas. So I know, and I totally agree with letting that player on the left or drift into the center, but it should have been Barco in the middle drifting wide and vice versa, P.T. drifting into the middle. And I thought that it really, who's a player that can play through the center in tight spaces, keep the ball close, players in behind? It's Ezequiel Barco. I think he's the guy that can break down a bunker. And when he's playing through the middle, he's going to have that opportunity more often than not. You can play PT out wide, where he can get isolated, take some guys on 1v1. He's such a great dribbler, play those crosses into the box that we've seen, and he can come into the middle when needed. But I thought that was a mistake from Frank DeBoer, starting Martinez underneath instead of Barco based on, first of all, what we've seen the last 2 weeks, but also just based on the type of team you're playing. I would prefer a Barco type of player playing in the middle of that bunker than PT Martinez.
Did you hear what Frank DeBoer said after the game about specifically that? I asked him specifically that question. Why why is it more about Ezequiel Barco not being
supposed to lead into
being into the middle?
Can you believe that? He's like, this whole plan was for you to now say what he told you, and you're like, well, did you hear what? Anyways, go.
Yeah, you could have made yourself sound way better without having that whole explanation.
We would have had like the perfect segue into this quote. But anyways, go on.
Yeah, Josh, you idiot! Did you not hear the quote? God.
I don't want to tell you guys anymore.
No, forget it. I already know the quote, but our listeners
want to know. Go ahead.
Our listeners want
to take it over.
It's okay.
It's all you.
Our listeners want to know.
All you.
Our listeners want to know what Frank DeBoer had to say. You have to tell us.
Go.
Tell the listeners.
So Frank DeBoer basically said that Pitti was the number 10, without saying that he was the number 10.
Okay.
But that Ezequiel Barco essentially, there can only be one number 10. Ezequiel Barco is capable of playing out on the left, and I should have pulled up the quote in front of me.
But are you saying he was insinuating that PT is the number 10 in the long term, or just for this match he started him?
Pitti is the number 10. He made it seem that Pitti was the number 10.
Interesting.
Period.
Well, we're going to see what happens. Against a non-bunkering team, makes a little more sense.
He was asked by Felipe as well, Felipe Cardenas of The Athletic, about this team actually having a number 10. Because I think we're all of the same mindset. We don't know that Pitti's a number 10.
No, absolutely not. No. I think Pitti would fit.
He hasn't shown that maybe he's filled that role perfectly.
And he's a player that likes to drift around the pitch, so it
seems like he'd fit better as a number 10 in the Tata system.
It's more, but the way Frank DeBoer answered was more about, Pitti played the number 10. And then when I asked him specifically about Ezequiel Barco moving more centrally, because he seemed to be a little absent in this match, considering how effective he was centrally against FC Dallas.
And New England as well.
And New England.
In the first half, yeah.
And it was back to, Pity's the number 10.
It's interesting. I mean, that'll be an interesting one to follow. And I think specifically against a team that sets up like Colorado, I wanted Barco and playing a little more centralized.
I'd agree too, because you hit the nail on the head. The chances that Pity did create were out wide.
Yeah.
And I think he's better at cutting in and kind of getting that sort of thing going on there. And I would also like to see, because let's not forget, Darlington Nagbe was brilliant on the goal. I mean, he again, another one of these performances from him that is workhorseman-like and maybe doesn't show up a whole lot in certain areas on the stat sheet. That cross, it was one of his best moments, I think, in Atlanta United shirt. I would like to see more in combination between Nagbe and Barco in the center. Because I think their passing is really good, and they can, like you said, breaking down a bunker, that kind of possession, that kind of passing would have been really good to have those two guys in there instead of having, like you said, Barco out wide and drifting back.
What Darlington Nagbe did on that goal, and granted, Colorado did get turned over, so it wasn't, in a kind of organic possession, but that's what we're talking about. I want to see you run at a defender.
Yes.
I want
to see him do that more, by the way.
Yeah.
He has not done that enough in the Atlanta United.
Really throughout his career has been a lack of decisiveness in the last third, but I want to see you challenging and running at those defenders who you are better than in a 1v1 situation, and it actually happened there, and look what happened.
So I've got the quote in front of me. I believe the team played with the number 10 tonight in Gonzalez Martinez. He played like a number 10 tonight. Maybe it wasn't his best game, but it doesn't matter. It was his first start in a long time. Mm-hmm. He has to get used to the surface style of play in MLS. Let's not dive into that because that's a completely different discussion. He's our number 10 normally, and we want him close to Joseph Martinez. I'd actually agree with. I want as close to Joseph as
Look
possible.
at the chances he's created for Joseph.
They have good combination, and hopefully in the future we'll see a lot more of the combination play.
But
so then on Ezequiel Barco, because Felipe Cardenas asked about specifically having a number 10. That was his response. Then I asked about Ezequiel Barco playing on the left when he was more effective the last two matches in the middle. After Gonzalez Martinez was substituted, Barco played the number 10. 10 position, you can have one number 10 in this type of system. He plays against this system. A lot of times he comes inside, and you can see we have multiple number 10s. Maybe he's better suited to come from the left when he can go inside and outside. I think he's performing really well, and you have to make a decision. You have to make decisions. For me tonight, I knew we would have narrow spaces against Colorado, so I didn't put Tito Villalba from the start. I don't know why he would on this road, but he's a player that needs space. Normally, Barco and Gonzalez. He's a player that needs space. So there's back to tight spaces.
Why is he still saying that?
And normally, Barco and Gonzalez Martinez are better in those tight spaces. Look, he's not wrong.
I agree with that. It seemed like he drifted into kind of an answer of it. By the way, I love his sound bites. The way he analyzes the game.
They're so hard to transcribe.
Long, detailed.
They're so hard.
It sucks for the people in that press conference.
I'll tell you, if you look at my Twitter feed after the press conferences and the interviews, well, just specifically the Frank de Boer press conferences, those are all paraphrased because there is absolutely no way I can fit his exact. It would make no sense. It would sound like gibberish in writing. It makes sense when you hear it, but right. when you actually read it, it's
really interesting how he really is analytical and gives some.
It was really,
I think, good answers.
I think he hates Tito more than Eric does.
No. I don't hate Tito.
I know you don't, but I'm just saying that was completely unprovoked in that quote that you're reading.
But he's not wrong.
Well, that's fine, but there's no reason to continue to denigrate your own play, and he keeps picking on Tito.
It is interesting Tito came up.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't even brought up.
The only reason Tito goes in the 71st minute, 74th minute. Nagbe and Gressel create the goal. Don't act like Tito had much to do with it. I'm not saying. Yeah. Did he? It was a direct pass to Nagbe.
But I thought Tito changed the game.
I'm not saying he didn't, but the only reason it looked better when Tito goes in is because all of a sudden Colorado's down a goal and they got to open it up to try to get to save the point.
I think
that's the only reason. Yeah, sure, you saw Tito in open space on the left side because all of a sudden Colorado had to come out of their hole.
Let's go back to De Boer's quote. I don't think it's that I think Tito absolutely made a difference, but this was a game because of playing in tight spaces and that Tito likes to play a little more space, where he can make a difference off the bench better so than in the first.
But hasn't he proven this year that he's better in those spaces than?
Let's not downplay the impact.
But he's proven this season so far.
But is he consistent? That's the problem.
But in the times we've seen him, he's been much better in those tight spaces. This is a guy
much better, sure, but better overall and more consistent in those tight spaces than Barco and Pickett.
I'm just saying this is a guy who went out to say that Andrew Carlton, a player with very little experience is better than Tito Villalba in tight spaces, which was incorrect. And then he calls him back out again, unprovoked. I'm just saying, why are you doing that to this one player? Are you trying to boot him out? Just Frank DeBoer's almost like, I don't want this guy anymore. So I'm just going to keep saying little digs at him until we push him out the door.
Interesting.
That's all I'm saying. Like, why is he bringing it up? And that's the thing. You're not going to win that battle, Frank, right now because you don't have near the clout with this fan base or this team as Tito does.
I think.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I totally disagree. I totally agree with the lineup change, but it is interesting.
I'm not saying
that he kind of maybe it's because he just anticipated that was the type of question he was going to get. Is why didn't you start?
He just had it in his head.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
that
I'm not
went
saying
that direction. When the question was about Barco,
I'm not saying go sell Tito. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying I'm not going to start Tito over a guy like Barco, who I'm telling you, Tito for 90 minutes in this match would have been absolutely worthless.
Well, of course, because in a bunker situation, I would
overstatement.
Not worthless, but is this a game that goes to his strengths? Probably not.
Barco and PT, two guys that play with the ball close to their foot. Tito, a guy that likes to kind of knock it and go.
But Josh, you're the nail. Like Barco seems like, again, and we talk about this. If Frank's going to say that PT's a 10, that's fine. But in this game, and especially against a team that's going to bunker against you, a player like Barco feels like that better fit in that position because of his kind of ability to possess, because of his methodical nature in finding the pass.
If you look at the average positions of those two players, they're literally right on top
of each other.
So you basically, I think by doing that, because Barco loves to come in, made them that player kind of redundant, kind of made that underneath the striker was not covering space enough to be dangerous. They're right on top of each other.
I don't know how much I love Frank DeBoer saying Pity is the number 10. Like it's not really how he said it either, but he made it seem like he's the number 10. If we read it between the lines, because look, if Pity is whatever demanding to be the number 10, I'm not saying that he is, but if that may be like a situation we have here, and
we'll get into that in a second.
Barco's clearly a better choice for them. I'm not saying a better number 10, but a better choice for the number 10 role with Atlanta United. Then why wouldn't you, as a smart tactician, move Pity to the left side.
Exactly.
Have him cut back on his right foot. Is he right footed or left footed? He's left footed.
Left footed. Yeah.
Whatever. Do what you want.
And
nice question, bro.
What? What have those gold headphones done to your brain?
I thought he was left footed, but no. Move Barco back in. At least after. I mean, I agree with I think a lot of people who say, you saw all the success the last two matches. Why not continue that? I mean, you can still play Barco, Pity. It's not like he's going to be.
Oh no, yeah,
I'm not saying starting 11,
not at all.
But just move him to the left side, and if nothing else, just make them extremely fluid, so they're both in and out of their positions as they please, as they see fit.
And again, I look at a couple different statistics. I mean, to me, you want PT. He's not necessarily a guy that's supposed to dominate the ball and be on the ball all the time. He's a guy that you want to find in good positions, and then he can dribble, he can shoot, he can pass. Ezequiel Barco is much more of a player that can drop in, get involved in the possession, combine with other players. And then you look at it, and the result of moving Barco to the left, he takes 60 touches, PT Martinez takes 69. I think you'd prefer those numbers to be reversed and maybe even expand a little bit more, because I think Barco is more involved with the simple things in terms of just almost like he can do the things Darlington Nagbe does better than PT Martinez, who more so is a direct player. Yeah. So that to me, that's the reason because in a game like this, you want Barco all over the ball, so he can do kind of what Darlington Nagbe did to create the goal. And PT Martinez, he can do that, but I think he's a guy that, again, is just better in space, and he can come into the middle when needed. So I just thought it was a miscalculation by Frank DeBoer, and maybe one of the bigger tactical mistakes he's made this season.
My hope is because it would be nice to see Barco consistently playing as the number 10.
That quote though, that I don't. You could read into it. Maybe he thinks that PT is the number 10 in the future, but I don't know necessarily.
I just think he has the.
Well, there's squad politics too. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
I almost feel like he feels like, well, Pity is the number 10. He's wearing the number 10, so he is the number 10.
He was like, what if he's taking it literally,
like this dumb
like
American
the number, and he's
look, I don't think that's the case, but I really hope not.
Yeah, he's the number 10 because he's the number 10.
If he's the number 10 because he just happens to be wearing the numbers 10 or the number 10, I'm all for firing Demore at that point.
So one area on the other side of the ball, I think you saw some real I thought defensively, you're happy with that. Even though Colorado, I think.
Well, they're not doing a whole lot to break
But again,
it down.
we've talked about this in past weeks because even though Colorado parked 2 buses, we've seen Dallas parked maybe 3/4 of a bus, Cincinnati parked maybe a bus and a half. So and yet Atlanta United were open, getting counterattacked throughout the match. There were a couple of nervy moments with Colorado, and granted their players aren't as good, but I think I was a lot happier with the back line in terms of being positionally solid, not making the mistakes we've seen Gonzalez Pires making past weeks, being over-aggressive, trying to win the ball back and then leaving space in behind. So that was, I think, maybe offensively you saw not what you want, but I did see some progression on the other side of the ball defensively.
This is why I kind of want to see I wish we could have seen Barco in the situation because maybe Barco is maybe the better passer, maybe the better game manager when it comes to these kind of situations against teams that are parking 2 buses. Maybe he's a little more pinpoint on his passes. Maybe he can create more from essentially on a regular basis than he can from the left side. I would have loved to see that consistency, but at some point you got to look. You paid Pity to be the number 10. Let's be real. So let's see him be the number 10.
Is that true?
Why does it? I don't understand why that matters. I think
I don't think it does.
It might mean something to Pity. It might mean something.
You paid him to be the number 10. Let's see what he does at number 10.
Okay, but that's the thing. A lot of the times you might pay a guy to do one thing, but then you find another spot for him. An example I could use is
But let's also be honest. Until like the last 2 matches, we didn't really know what we had. Still didn't know what we had in Ezekiel Barco.
He has played remarkably well to start this season, and from a guy and myself who was more than willing to take a shot at him last season, he's come a long way. And it's sad that even like someone like I want to see him what more he can do, kind of being that Miguel Almiron type, or at least the guy you're relying on to create. Because from what we've seen, I mean, some of the shots against Dallas, I mean, he was all over the place. Had a few shots that should have gone in, and probably would have gone in on a different day, but. Just one of those situations where I understand you pay for a player to come in and play a position, but how long do you let that be more important than getting results?
And I don't know that you necessarily paid Pizzi Martinez to play number 10. I mean, I think he's a mix of a attacking winger and a number 10, which to be fair isn't that different anymore because as we've just discussed, the wingers come into the middle. But I don't think Pizzi Martinez, or I don't think he feels that he should be locked in at the number 10 spot the way Miguel.
I'm not saying they should be, but I don't know. I don't know how to. I feel like.
I think for this system, for Frank's system,
still, I mean,
better
I think Felipe has a good point in bringing up and asking the question: does this team have a true number 10 for the system that you want to implement?
I don't think they do.
I don't think it's exactly the number 10 that Frank.
I think you could combine Barco and Pitti, and you'd probably have that player, but they each do kind of different things enough to where neither of them is truly that player.
I think in terms of possession, in terms of the skill set on paper that Pitti has, he fits better again on paper, and so Frank DeBoer wants to see that out, much like he wants to see out his own system as much as possible. Until because I mean, to be fair, Frank DeBoer does kind of have a point. It's still so early in the season. He is a brand new player in a brand new league, in a brand new city, and with a brand new team, all that stuff that we've talked nonsense about. So he does need at least some time to adjust. We saw it took basically all year last year for Ezekiel Barco to adjust. So we do have to give him that chance to prove that he belongs, at the positions that Frank DeBoer wants.
Although he gets less time than Barco because of his age.
Absolutely.
And it also doesn't, excuse what he did, when he got yanked off.
I don't find that to be a big deal at all.
I don't find it to be as big of a deal as maybe some do, but there's a big difference, and Josh and I were talking about this on the way up here. There's a big difference in, being upset about it, because I want players that are upset when they get taken off, because that shows they're hungry. That shows that they want to be out there scoring goals, helping their team, doing whatever they can to win. So I wasn't upset that he was upset, but that tantrum lasted a little bit too long. And, kicking the back of Breck Shea's chair,
It was Breck Shea's chair that got kicked.
Let me paint you a different picture. He's come to a new city, a new team, expectations are sky high, and he has yet to prove that he's worth a single dollar of the amount.
Yeah, sounds like Barco early on.
Sure. Would you not be upset? Would you not at some point that would fester?
No, I agree. That's just the wrong situation to let it burst. That's what I'm saying, though. That's the wrong time.
I'm okay with it.
I'm not saying it's the worst thing to ever happen, but what I am saying is for a guy that was, as expensive as he was, and for a guy that was playing at River Plate. This isn't a guy who's being thrust onto the grand stage for the first time. He's dealt with this before.
Are you sure? He's used to success, and now, for lack of a better term, he's getting used to sucking.
Well, we know that PT had a year-long adaptation period at River Plate.
Remember, he didn't train either to start this season. There was kind of.
I'm okay.
When he first came there, his first year.
Given the expectations, given the everything that's come along with him coming to Atlanta United, given the culture and the fact that I'm sure he reads some kind of social media and the fans aren't all that happy about him, I'm okay with the outburst. Hopefully, this adds a little fuel to the fire and maybe energizes him and whatever.
The reaction after he was subbed.
What would you rather have him do nothing? Just sit there?
I just said that I want him to be mad. I literally you want them to be fiery. You want them to be mad, but there's a big difference again. I think in being upset with it and sort of the way that he did it, because also he was sitting there yelling at Frank the Bull. So, it's a very public setting to be doing that.
Let's try to separate his reaction to being substituted with his general body language when he's on the pitch. I had zero issue with the way he reacted when he was substituted, and the way it was described in just text form on Twitter. That was going to be way worse than it was. I thought it would be about to kick Breck Shea in the face or something like that. But then
although Breck Shea's look, if you watch the video, he turns around
and credit to Breck Shea because if someone did that to me, I'd be like,
what the hell, man?
Yeah, but touching his leg, calm down.
What that showed me is that everyone understands. Everyone's under the same
There's a lot of pressure.
It's starting to boil over personally for some of these players in terms of the expectations and the way they're playing. And so Breck Shea, being a good teammate, hey man, we know, we got you.
And that shows you that I think the reaction was that
they're all in the same boat.
Much more so frustrated with himself than taking out his teammates. That being said, okay, so the sub thing I have no problem with. We saw Joseph Martinez take off the shin guards walking off the field many times. What I do have an issue with is his body language on the pitch. There was a play in the second half where I think it was Julian Gressel missed him on a cross, and he literally went down to his knees.
It's not hitting the ground
when the ball was in play. That is not acceptable.
Not at all.
I can agree with you there.
You're always supposed to you always see when somebody sends the ball and it just misses or something. They'll clap him or something, or be like, hey, next time, whatever. But yeah, he's showing open frustration with a teammate.
His body language on the field, the sub thing doesn't bother me. On the field is very bad. And I get that every now and then you're going to throw your arms and be upset. But when you talk about pitching tantrums and things like that, first of all, it looks bad, but it also affects everyone on the pitch. And any good coach will stress the importance of good body language during a match.
I'm glad he's saying this because a lot of people nowadays, if someone attacks body language or whatever, a lot of body language. Well, but a lot of the
I agree on a team with your teammates also. Yeah, it's important. But in terms of micro analyzing. You picked his nose in this way. I don't care.
Well, no, that's not what we're saying.
I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
But within a team, body language can affect. And a lot of people will just roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, you do a job." It's no. Within a team sport setting like that,
it's critical.
Absolutely.
If you're crossing the ball and your teammate throws a fit like that,
you're I'm not going to pass him the ball again.
It affects. It's very public. It's very visible. It appears, particularly for a player of PT's level, that he's blaming the other players around him for not being on his level. It's just a bad look. And again, the walking off the pitch, being upset with the substitutes, I don't care. You're not on the field anymore. You're not part of the game. You're surely frustrated with what's going on. Everyone else is. But on the pitch, and I get it, you're going to throw your arms up sometimes, but it's too consistent and it gives off the vibe. And I'm sure he's
kind of better than everyone else.
And I'm sure he doesn't feel this way. But
it
does give
looks
off the vibe. The fans notice. His teammates notice. It's just not a good look.
Who do you think he is, Ronaldo? These are things that Ronaldo does. He's one of the top 2 players in the world.
Right.
And Pity Martinez is doing it. It's bro, you got a long way to go.
I very few times seen anyone do what he did after that Gressel cross, getting literally down on all fours and banging the pitch while the ball was still in the
It's you're showing up a teammate.
That's bad.
Look,
yeah.
I will say,
and him and Gressel got into it, as Jenna brings up in the YouTube chat right before halftime as well. So when you piece all of these things together, aside from the
it doesn't look good. Yeah, it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and it doesn't help.
I will say, and I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but I do think that the conversations this week with Pity from the front office, from Frank DeBoer, and whoever else might be involved. Year one, we saw Assad flopping like crazy.
Yeah, of course.
To the point where it was just kind of, at least to me, kind of annoying.
Until somebody pulls him aside.
Someone absolutely pulled him aside and said, "Bro, you got to stop." Because it was immediately after the was it the ball to the face one? I don't know if it was that one. It was it was the elbow, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It was the elbow.
Yeah.
It was immediately after that, but they were like, "You got to stop this. You got to stop this flopping. You got to stop
stop doing like
overdoing it.
dumb things.
You got to stop it. You got to stop it." And immediately after that match, whatever match I'm talking about, and I'm not sure if it's that one or not, but you never saw it again. So you got to think someone's going to get into Pitty's ear and at least explain to him, this is not how we roll. This is not how we do things here.
Is it weird to me that I think Joseph needs to be the one that does?
No.
I mean, who's the elder statesman Latino on this team?
LGP. Well, maybe
are you going to let him do it?
No.
You know what I mean?
Larry, Michael Parkhurst.
Well, I was talking about the Latin players
Joseph
that he might connect.
Joseph is the only one that can say, "I know which."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It needs to be Joseph because he's been
and
there.
And it doesn't help anyone. And these fans love you. This is a good place. Cut it out.
LGP would just go there. Do whatever you want.
Well, it's a guy like Parkhurst who's like the man. Like comes to you and says that. Like, of course, you're class personified. But if
I agree, somebody that's been on that side of the tracks before.
But I honestly, I want to get also the PT as a player. I think he's actually been pretty good.
I don't think we've had enough chance to really,
I agree.
Judge one way or the other.
He's certainly not. You'd like more, particularly in terms of.
He's got to score.
Goals,
he's got to score.
So I'd like to see him getting a little closer to goal and getting some shots off.
Let's be real. No one's scoring goals yet.
Yeah, but let's be real. That's a problem with everybody in the team. So I'm not going to single him out for that. But I think
even though you just did
a lot of. That's true.
We should talk about the goal, by the way. But go ahead. Sorry.
Let's talk about the goal first. We'll go back.
Well, we did kind of right.
So can we appreciate the run that Gressel made?
Of course.
To score that goal. Like
he went to the perfect spot. There's no doubt.
I fully appreciate what Darlington Nagbe did, but for Gressel to make the run that he did out of seemingly nowhere, it's a good 20-yard run from outside the box.
At least 20 yards.
I think it starts outside the box.
He came from the right side to the
right in front of Tim Howard, not knowing whether that's a good run or not until the ball gets played.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it was the perfect run, but you wouldn't have known it based on what was happening because you don't know what Nagy's going to do.
I'm sitting there looking at like, Gressel, what indications you had that was the path you wanted to take?
It was kind of happening.
If nothing else, you thought, all right, well, he's going to tuck it back into the like the top of the 6-yard box. That's where I'll be. Mm-hmm. No, he kept going all the way to the
But once Nagbe made that decision to run all the way to the byline or the touch line there is no shot that he could have done anything else. That's the thing. He played the only thing he could have done to get a goal in that situation because once he's there, you're not going to be able to cut back. You know what I mean? At that point, he had to play the ball to the near post right there. Gressel's run was absolutely perfect because that's the ball that was played. And he did a really good job to get a foot in there in a really tight space.
Yeah,
I just want to give Julian props because that's what it makes.
I'm glad you brought that up because and also if there are any.
I don't know how much props he deserves because it was kind of lucky, but
No, I don't think. If you're a young player,
I don't know
watching
how. I don't know how in that position, and maybe it's different when you're on the field. I don't know how from the position that Julian was in, how he determined to make that run. Thinking that right across the face.
Oh, it's a great run.
Right across the face of Tim Howard's goal. Well, right across Tim Howard's face, that's a good run because the angle's going to be tight. You're not going to have a lot of time to react to the ball, and he just happens to do exactly what he needs to do to get it in.
But I think that's
not even get it in.
If any young players watch that run, that's one of the hardest runs to mark. If you come from one side of the field and then go to the opposite post.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you're coming from the left side and go to the right post, first of all, the player has to follow you all the way, and then he might even have, so even if he follows you, it opens up space at the back post. So it's a great run in general. I don't think it was, it was a risky run, like you didn't know it was going to come off. But I think that also shows this, I think, how special a player Gressel is. Just willing, I think it was more than 20 yards there. I think it was like 30, 40 yards when you consider he crossed the entire field. That he's willing to do that he's willing to just take the 1 in 10 chance that he gets on the end of that. It really shows what a special mentality he has as a player.
I think another reason the run's so perfect, and you hit the nail on the head here, in terms of it being hard to mark, you're not going to take the outside path there because you've got to be there to be closer to your keeper to protect. So by the defender taking the inside track, kind of following him in, that gives him the outside to be on the outside of that post to tap it in. Yeah. That's why the positioning was perfect because he drew the defender to the wrong side to allow him to have that one little foot in there to tap that in.
It was a great finish too. That was not an easy.
Oh no,
finish.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, again, Nagby put that ball. It's like in Infinity War where Doctor Strange tells. Sorry, I got nerdy here. No, this is a movie before where he tells him, "I just saw this thing happen 14 million times, and it only works out one time the way we want it to." That's kind of what happened there because again. Nagby could only do that. I mean, there was no other way to score a goal there. And Gressel absolutely perfectly put it in a tough ball to finish, no question.
So it was a good
on the goal. It was asked specifically about moving Darlington, or Frank DeBoer was asked specifically about moving Nagby outside or out wider than he was throughout the match. I told him and Tito, you have to go wide, and if you can go 1v1, then you have to do it. As a midfielder, he isn't playing fullback. He's talking about Nagby. But you also have to create space for Tito. Those types of situations always make the difference in the game. It's always one man more in the back, then somebody has to step out. The individual quality has to make a difference in 1v1 situations. Then we have advantage up front. That's ultimately what resulted in Darlington Nagby essentially getting moved.
A perfect analysis.
Much wider than
because is that 1v1 situation.
I find it funny that in the press conference, and I think he's trying to like subconsciously, maybe not subconsciously, but just trying to tell everyone he's smarter than everyone.
Oh, he's Dutch, so what do you expect? Yeah.
Pragmatic.
He brought up Real. He brought up Barcelona at least twice, I think. Pep Guardiola a couple times. Trying to think Messi once.
No, of course.
He brought up all these players, and I'm like, "What are you doing, bro?" Like,
I do think he wants, and people should know this.
You should be talking about Will Johnson. Clearly,
you have to respect the experience that Boris had, and the players and the managers he's been around.
Yeah, the experience he's had. Oh yeah.
I mean,
the
man
clearly
played. Was a world-class player, legendary player.
He was handpicked by Johan Cruyff essentially to run the Ajax.
Yeah, so this is someone who's been at football at the highest levels as a player and somewhat as a manager.
These comments were clearly a direct response to Mr. Devin Ferreira. Clearly.
Did he watch Devin Ferreira?
Yeah, he's watching Fan TV on the rant.
He watched the rant. You haven't seen it.
Not watching
Atlanta United fan, ATL UTV Fan TV. Go check it out.
I mean, clearly DeBoer watches, so
I'd say you just for sure. If we lose the next few matches, just put that man on a couch. Punishment: you tie him down. He has to watch every Atlanta United Fan TV take for 45 minutes.
Is he having enough?
Is he having enough? But okay, so my last thing on PT, and I know we've got to talk about Kansas City and all that. I think people are, and I kind of touched on this. I think he's actually having a pretty good season, and I think yes, we want to see more. But I think particularly when you look at the amount of chances he's creating, it's very similar to Ezequiel Barco last year, where the play of players around him, I think, has affected people's recognition of how good he's been. He's created
Not sure blame everybody.
The second most chances in the league per 96 minutes with Pozuelo in Toronto has been amazing as number one. And if you look back on it, if Joseph finishes a couple of those chances or there's better finishing, we're looking at 3 to 5 assists for him right now. So I think sometimes with players like Pity Martinez who try crazy stuff a lot, he tries to dribble guys. He tries to play that seeing eye through ball from 40 yards from goal. Barco's like this too. If you try things like that, it's not always going to come off. Mm-hmm. So I think the failures stick in fans' mind when the players around them maybe aren't providing them the help they need. And all it would take, I think, is a little better finishing, and we'd be having a completely different discussion against Pity Martinez.
In that respect, for sure.
And I totally agree.
Against FC Dallas, you would have absolutely been like, oh my gosh, they finally figured it out.
And even
if they had finished half their chances.
And right. And even in this match, he's really been good, I think, with his passing and finding players in behind. And I think, like I said, people are looking too much at the bottom line of, is it creating a goal? Well, not yet, but it's creating goal-scoring opportunities. And I think he's showing that in that sense, even despite the fact that he looks frustrated and all that, he's still, you look at some of the statistics, and he's been a very productive player. So similar to Ezequiel Barco, I think, if this can click for him, it's only a matter of time to really, really start to see the Pity Martinez we're expecting. And again, it's just like I thought it was with Barco. You watch him some matches, and you're like, man, I'm expecting, I've seen these highlights. I know what he's worth. I'm expecting to see some of these crazy goals we saw. And when that doesn't happen, we forget about some of the other things that he's done. And so I think that with PT, as far as his actual play, his actual game, we need to take a step back. Aside from the part that he's adjusting and it's a new manager and it's early and all that, he's actually been pretty darn good. And with just a little more luck and a little more adaptation to the system and hopefully getting some shots off, I think he's going to be a great player sooner rather than later for Atlanta United.
I'm one of those fans where the bad is sticking a lot. It's a lot louder than the good. Because the last few matches, I'm like, all right, I'll see him in a 1v1 situation and I'll see him fail. I'll see him in another 1v1 situation, I'll see him fail.
God, he is just like
Eric,
he's just like me with Barco last season.
But that goes back to what I'm saying. He tries a lot of dribbles. He's completed a lot of dribbles. But since none of those have turned into triple nutmeg goals or whatever, we forget. We remember the times that he failed. But his dribble statistics are great.
And maybe I'm just missing. And I'd love for someone to pull up the YouTube video of every PD touch with Atlanta United so far to prove me wrong. I'd be happy to, because I want to like Pity. I want to.
Mm-hmm. He had 4 dribbles in this game. Led the team.
I want to be on his side on this. But he's for whatever reason, and I feel like a lot of the fans like this, he's still yet to prove to me that he's worth the money that he's.
I agree.
And not even the money, the hype.
That I agree with.
Alone.
That I totally agree with.
He still has to prove that he's worth the hype.
I think
that he came with.
Agree. Totally. And the hype was earned. I mean, he was the player of the year in the Primera last year.
What does that actually mean?
So it's not, no, I totally agree.
I think I tweeted out at one point. I was like, did we really fact check that?
But
that seems like it's
I do think, though, it means a lot that, for instance, you point to him losing the ball when he dribbles, and he had, 2.7 dribbles per match. That's almost double what he was doing at River Plate.
I would counter by saying, where are those dribbles? How are those dribbles happening?
They're all over the place. Right. No, but that's the thing. So he tries a lot of dribbles. Since we haven't seen the type of dribbles that we saw in highlights, and I would point you to a couple of fantastic dribbles against Colorado, but since they're not coming off into goals, I think we're remembering, like I said, the times he failed, and that's kind of polluting our overall opinion of him. Now, does he have to be better dribbling? Does he have to be in better places? I totally agree. But it's not like he's been completely unproductive, and all the things that he's good at aren't kind of showing themselves beneath the surface.
MOTS podcast assignment for at least one of you listeners. Go make that every touch YouTube video.
Well,
prove
it was
wrong.
funny because
Prove
you
me
remember
wrong.
when the Barco highlight video came out from last year and was like, what? He was like, this is
an
amazing highlight video.
Again, I'm sure I'm wrong. And honestly, it's
you're
probably
not, you're not wrong.
You're probably 100% right in how I'm looking at this. You're probably 100% right. I just need to see it.
No, you're not wrong in that you expect more. I expect more. We should all expect more. We just talked about the body language.
I'm having extreme deja vu right now. These are the exact same things I was saying about Barco last year.
That's why Sam's staying quiet.
At some point, the tide's going to turn.
Don't.
Well, no, I mean, Barco is coming.
Wait. I don't know how I went this long without saying this, but have I reversed the curse?
No.
Because I'm right 2 weeks in a row.
What were you right about last week?
That we weren't going to do that great against Colorado because we've never done that great against a team that bunkers like they do. And FC Dallas beat us 2-1.
Well, it's no coincidence that when he predicts bad things happen. And when
Just
he predicts
saying,
good things, he jinxes the team.
2 weeks in a row, I'm exactly right.
Yeah, but you were right.
Yeah, but you're only correct when you're predicting bad things.
Yeah, right.
And when you try to predict good things, it goes wrong. So basically, it's like double curse.
Look, maybe I need a string of bad predictions for Atlanta United
to
bring about the good predictions.
If you predict,
Eric, if you were a flavor of Zapp's chips, you'd be voodoo.
Look, I've got the Shaq headphones right now. This is not a coincidence.
Well, the Shaq headphones
something.
Reverse the curse.
He did call himself the Big Aristotle.
There's some Shazam going on up in here. Is it Shazam?
I don't know.
Kazam. Shazam is that new movie. No, Kazam. I saw that thing in theaters.
What was the?
He was a genie.
What was the music platform? The downloader thing?
Oh, that was a Kazaa.
Kazaa.
Damn it! What I say now?
He went
all three of
Shazam,
those.
Kazam, Kazaa.
Kazaa.
Yeah, you said 3 or 4-0. I said 1. I said I don't even know what I said technically.
Chris Lombardi says that
I said
3 or 4-0.
I said it should be. I said it should be. But I also said we have yet to see this team.
Straddling both sides of the fence.
I'm just saying it should be. That's not a prediction. I said it should be.
My
prediction exactly.
I don't think anybody thinks you broke the curse.
No credit for Eric yet. No credit for Eric yet.
Should be is not the same thing as a prediction, Chris. It's not the same.
We're going into Sporting Kansas City this weekend. Maybe you can reverse the curse, and we'll credit the Shaquille O'Neal headphones
I'll wear these headphones.
This
So-
is
so-
candy and
It's
nuts.
gonna be interesting in Kansas City, right? Because they're not. It's there first of all, and they're not going to park the bus. They're going to try to come out and play.
especially at home.
So maybe we'll see, similar to New England, similar to some point, what we saw in Columbus before the field went to crap. To some extent, Dallas. Maybe we'll get to see a little more expansive Atlanta United because Kansas City are team actually going to come out and try to play their game. And
They're also a
possession
very
side,
good
too.
team, too.
They're a very good team. Yeah, they're a possession team, although their possession is a little more vertical, a little more aggressive than Atlanta United's. So it's going to be. I'm really looking forward to the Kansas City match.
We're all kind of. I feel like a lot of us are still kind of hopped up on that 7-1 match against Montreal. Can we go over the last 5 results for them?
Oh,
6
Kansas
results?
City.
Yeah, I was like,
sorry.
what?
Yeah.
First leg semifinals against Monterrey, 5-0. Expected because it's Monterrey.
Oh yeah, I'm not jumping on
Right,
that.
so Monterrey gave them the business like they gave us.
Yeah.
FC Cincinnati as Sporting KC ends in 1-1 draw. Second leg against Monterrey, 5-2 loss for Sporting KC.
Oh, God, so they lost
Against-
aggregate 10-2?
Against the Red Bulls, a draw 2-2. Against San Jose, 4-1 loss for Sporting Kansas City. Against New England, 4-4 draw against the Revs.
And they trailed most of that match too. You're right.
They're not. This is an opportunity for Frank DeBoer. This is an opportunity for Atlanta United.
This is MLS flipping itself,
This
by
is-
the way. This happens all the time because the parity in the league. Kansas City and Atlanta were two of the best teams in the league last year. Now they've kind of shuffled
But
back down.
I also think you're going to see Kansas City come out and be like, all right, this is an opportunity for us as well. We have a chance here to earn some points, get back on track. I mean, it's not like they've been dropping tons of points. But
They're like, we're playing Atlanta United, 3 points.
But I'm not saying it's going to be that easy, but that is kind of the mindset. You go into Atlanta United, especially at home,
Well, this season.
you're coming into a team that's still figuring it out, that still hasn't adjusted, I guess, to the loss of Tata Martinez and the loss of Almiron. By the way, at some point, we're going to stop talking about Almiron.
I know.
Yeah, it's never
I
gonna
fully
happen.
agree.
Never got it.
We're like 3
At
years
some
from
point,
now.
yeah.
UGA
But
fans-
Almiron was the secret. He was the key.
UGA fans still talk about Herschel Walker. dude.
Yeah, right.
We ain't
It's gonna be our
not
Herschel
talking
Walker.
about Almiron, okay? He was Atlanta United's Herschel Walker.
That match Sunday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
Oh,
Get your tequila, get your margaritas ready. It's going to be a late one. Take Monday off. That's my
Maybe I will.
advice.
You know, I'm interested too. It's very similar to what we talked about before the Dallas game, where we were worried about them picking on Breck Shea down his side because he had a very strong right winger in that match. Johnny Russell playing on the right for Sporting Kansas City. I think one thing I expect is they're going to target Breck Shea. One thing that Colorado did actually do when they tried to attack, I think it was 40. I have to look at the number. The most of their attacks came down their right side, Breck Shea's
I
left,
remember that. Yeah.
and they were bombing Nicholson down the right, and they were moving Kai
I
Kamara
think they said
over
as much.
there.
I think they said as much after the match. They were specifically
They were
going down that.
specifically targeting Breck Shea. And of course, that's one, Breck Shea, not the strongest defender, but also on the other side, you got Franco Escobar, great 1v1 player. I think you're going to see a similar type of setup where either Johnny Russell or Gerso Fernandez, probably Russell, you're going to try to hit Breck Shea down that side. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Just like the Dallas match, how are you going to match up 1v1 on that side? But unlike the Dallas match, I think you're going to see Kansas City try to possess the ball. It was interesting how Dallas was a possession team. They came to Atlanta in kind of a different setup. I don't think Kansas City will do that. I think they're going to try to – it's going to be very interesting to see. Will this be the first match where a team is able to really out-possess Atlanta United?
If it ends up like that, here's my prediction will be. If it ends up like that, where SKC has most of the possession,
ball.
and I mean by most, I mean like what we normally see out of Atlanta United, where it's like 70-30 or something like that. If that's what it ends up being against Atlanta United, the 70-30 in favor of Sporting KC,
Well, it won't be.
I don't think whatever, but
Yeah.
let's say 60-40,
Okay.
even that.
I'll give you that.
I don't think that plays well for Atlanta United. I think it needs to be pretty even.
Yeah, I think
it needs to
it'll
be
be
like-
pretty even. Yeah,
55-45 and as close to 50 as you can, because the more wide open it is, the more that possession number is going to just find itself coming back to that 50% mark. I think that's where Atlanta United right now, with the players they have, are going to be at their best. Given the open spaces, the ability to pass into the channels, basically everything that the Colorado Rapids match wasn't, is what this match against Sporting KC needs to be. Where it's free flowing, it's back and forth. It almost needs to be a shootout, I think.
it could be. It could be.
I kind of, not because I want to go through that stress, but I kind of want to see what Atlanta
Although,
is
you know-
in that kind of scenario.
I could see, and people will go crazy. I could see another boring 0-0, 1-0 match where both teams have a lot of the ball, but they're not able to so much penetrate.
But if you're
the last third.
if you're asking Atlanta United to defend for
no, you can't do that.
A large portion of the match, you don't have Almiron. This is where a match where if that's the case, if that's how you think it's going to go, Tito absolutely should be starting 100%.
Yeah,
because you need someone.
Yeah.
You need someone to counter with.
Yeah, I think this team is definitely not built to play, and it might just be here we are talking about Almiron again. It might just be Almiron, but I don't think this team is built to play. I mean, without the ball for like a 60-40 possession type game. Now we look at New England where it was like 52 or 53 for New England. That's a little bit different because that means you can win it back and play direct. But
no.
The team is having the ball for that long, where you're looking at 60
and higher,
even like 58, 59% possession. Atlanta United is just going to defend deeper and deeper, and then you don't necessarily have the guys to go run at the defense on the counter, other than Tito, like you said.
Yeah, it seems like a very specific stat, but you think about what it means to what you're going to be watching on the screen if SKC has the ball for 60, 65, 70% possession.
That's going to be a lot of Atlanta United on their back heels for sure.
But they don't just look. Pity's not that guy. Barco can be that guy, but I think he hasn't proven that he can consistently be the guy to start the counter. That's where I would be like, all right, Tito on the wing, boom, let's get it.
A big part of the counter is running at pace, right? Taking a big touch, knocking in front of you. P is not really that guy. Barco's certainly not that guy. Almiron was. Tito Villalba, and Tito Villalba is.
It seems to be a ball winners game too.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the matchup and the possession battle. A lot of games go, possession's overrated. I think it's like Eric's kind of saying, it's definitely indicative.
I think Remedi and
of
LGP in terms of probably being, well, in theory, the two best ball winners on the team. I would assume they need to have pretty big games in terms of disrupting the possession of Kansas City. Josh Wolf still lining up for the Wizards, yeah?
Josh Wolf.
Totally joking, by the way.
Kansas City Wizards.
You go back and look at some of the Wizards, like retro uniforms and stuff.
All right.
They were legit.
What are we doing here?
I'm just saying. But
Did you see 2001 MLS Cup?
I'm just
saying.
Clearly not. I'm just saying. In all honesty, though, I think that this team plays the way that I kind of expected and wanted Atlanta United to play under DeBoer.
More aggressive
possession.
And hopefully that's coming.
Hopefully that is coming.
I feel like it's slowly getting there.
Because that's what ideally you want to happen.
Let's talk about something real quick. I think it's got to be said. We're no longer at the bottom of the table.
All right.
10th.
Yay.
In the Eastern Conference.
Still defending champs, though.
8 points.
Says it on Eric's hat.
And right now, Philadelphia Union in that third spot with 14. Not that big of a gap. DC United at the top of the table with 17. Again, not that big of a gap.
And I think 538 said, 79% to make the playoffs with their little
look at Nate Silver and his statistics.
Let's not worry about Supporter Shield. That probably is not going to happen. But because we're probably going to drop more points here and there because new system.
You can't choke away the Supporter Shield if you're not contending for it.
Boom.
That's true. And last week,
you're so proud of that one.
I really am. Not gonna lie.
Very pleased with
So again, 10th for Atlanta United right now with 8 points.
And you've got matches in hand as well as Michelle brings up in the chat.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else we need to talk about in terms of Atlanta United related stuff? Because we're going to move into some non-specific.
Josh is mad. No, I mean I thought
we saved this all the way for the end. Oh my god,
we did. Now's the fun part.
Yeah, just listen. To
if you got through the boring crap of Atlanta United,
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Can I?
Before we even talk about anything, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones. So there will be some spoilers in the next 5 minutes or so. So just stop listening to the rest of the podcast
if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it on a Wednesday.
First of all, what's the rule where you can start talking about?
I feel like it should be like 3 days, and Wednesday is the third day.
Here's a spoiler for you: there was no nudity on this episode.
No, wow, there wasn't.
That is a spoiler because you see that and you're like, wait a minute, an episode of Game of Thrones where nobody got naked?
I guess technically the Night King did. He lost all his clothes.
Let's
whoa!
We know what Sam pays attention to when he watches Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well.
Who done? Come on!
I didn't. Did you? Was that the first thing you thought of when you saw this episode?
Not this episode. I'm just saying it's not the first thing I've had. I've had like 3 days to think about.
It's similar to where Deborah's mind went going to Tito. Sam's mind goes to nudity. Okay, so is this show really that good?
I think, dude, I was obsessed with.
It's great television.
It was awesome. Arya Stark,
So let
Her
me
moment
out
is
of nowhere.
that's a top 5.
Come
like,
on, that's a moment.
For me, that's like a top 5 moment
That's
in television.
same
That's a
moment.
top moment in television for
That
me.
same
That's what I
moment
just said the
happened
same
like
thing.
5 times where someone was one of the good guys was about to die, and then
It's
someone else
about the
saved him at
emotion
last
behind
second.
it. It's about the fact that it
Yeah.
comes out of nowhere. You're with the
Out of
people.
nowhere,
And
right.
Who'd you watch it with?
I watched it with fans, with Game of Thrones fans.
Okay, who'd you watch it with?
Not my roommate fan.
Yeah, roommate.
I watched it with like
roommates, a
10
couple
people, and we all freaked out. Much like I assume Sam. and
I
your
jumped
buddy-
out of my chair.
Same.
And
Really?
like was screaming.
It was like a buzzer beater shot.
It really was.
It
No, oh
was
my
like a
gosh.
buzzer beater shot. That was the
Well,
exact reaction I had.
It was Michael Jordan because 91 finals against the Lakers. Marv Albert, when Jordan goes up with his right, switches to his left, and spectacular move by Michael Jordan. That's what it was. She switched hands. She went with the okie doke.
Okay, so
Chris Lombardi. Chris Lombardi
Chris's
mentions,
point is good.
but time out. Chris Lombardi, the Red Wedding.
Was way more of a freak out.
First of
moment,
all,
he said.
that entire
What the heck?
that entire episode, you knew something was coming.
Not
You
that.
didn't know what it
Those are the
was,
books.
but you knew something was coming, and because it got really boring.
Yeah,
Like
but
right
did
around
you
that
think
episode, it got really
everybody,
boring.
all the Starks basically were gonna die.
No,
you
but
didn't. Okay,
you
so
knew something
Game
was going
of
to happen.
Thrones. Hold on. So the whole thing about Game of Thrones that made it different from other fantasy little who has control of the kingdom shows is that you really didn't know who was going to die, and they set that up by doing the Red Wedding. The guy who had his eyes ripped out by the giant. Remember that?
Oh yeah. What's
Yeah.
his name?
That I think that was a better.
So
forgot
like
moment
so
than
like
the
there
he
were
was the
Red
dude.
Wedding.
He was the dude from the
all
Sun.
the stuff that happened with. Although they didn't end up killing, but with Theon and
Sure.
Win Ramsey and all that. So
Yes.
they built this up the first half of the show of you really don't know who's going to win between the quote unquote good guys and the quote unquote bad guys, and then it's all this setup.
You knew because you had like
All of this
there's like
setup-
3 more episodes left. You knew the good guys were going to
No, I'm saying over the last
win. Oh, okay.
however long it's been. Oh, Game of Thrones is different. You don't know who's
Those
gonna die.
swerves might be coming in the next couple
Maybe,
episodes.
but then you watch last night, which first of all, the entire show has been building up to winter is coming, blah, blah, blah. And when it finally happens, none of the big characters die. There are a bunch of scenes similar to the Night King one where there's like, there's someone gets saved at the very last second. I thought it went from a kind of unpredictable fantasy show to a more cliche show where, quite frankly, the writers don't seem to have the balls.
I think they stayed
to
unpredictable.
kill one of the big characters as they did in the first half of the show.
See, I think they
The
stayed
predict-
unpredictable because you predicted, and everyone predicted that all of the main characters or a lot of the main characters would die. So what did they do? They didn't kill off any of them. So by that logic, they went exactly opposite, and they
That's
stayed
true.
unpredictable because literally after – here's the thing that
I
was
was
getting me.
expecting more.
Here's the thing that was getting me. After episode 2, everybody's like, oh my gosh, it got up on my feels, Sarah Brienne of Tarth. Now everybody's going to die next week. Oh man, I'm so sad they're going to kill off these great characters. And then when that didn't happen, everybody's like, why didn't they kill off these
I
great
agree.
characters?
By the end of the
Roar.
show,
I absolutely love the imagery of all the flaming swords, whatever the hell you call them.
That was so cool.
That
The
was
sights.
awesome.
Yeah. When
Those were-
when
oh my
Melisandre lights up all the swords. Although the funny thing about that was all those guys, that one shot was really weird because all those guys run in to try to take on the zombie army. And then one by one, you start to see
The
those
zombie
torches
army. There's
go
a
out.
name for them.
The dead.
The White Walkers.
No. Not all of them are White Walkers. White Walkers
You're
are the
right.
ones on
Yeah,
horseback.
yeah,
These
yeah.
are just the dead.
Okay.
Okay, so here's
I
another thing.
apologize.
But no, I'm just saying,
You're the true Game of Thrones
that
fan.
scene where all of those torches one by one start to go out, and then all of a sudden they're all out, and you're like, damn, the
That's
dead took care of
The
those
amount of
guys
people watching
real
is
fast.
dropping by the second.
Oh, I know.
But okay, so you're telling me you have 7 seasons of build
Whatever.
up
There's no Lady
about
United.
this
There's
Night King
no
guy.
more Lady United content left out. We're just bickering about Game of Thrones. So we're done with the Lady United
8
content.
seasons or whatever of build up or whatever it was, all about the Night King. Winter is coming, and then you never find out who he is, what his motive is.
No,
nothing.
you already knew. Well, you had some backstory.
Nothing. We learned nothing. I wanted to know who he was. How did the Children of the Forest?
He missed that episode.
To be honest,
I don't remember it.
I
Totally,
don't think the writers really knew what to do. I think I watched Lost all the way from start to finish, and Game of Thrones is much better than Lost.
Okay.
Much better acting.
I watched it start to finish too.
Much more well done. But I think they've run into similar issues
Yeah, we already knew.
where when it comes time to resolve all these huge overarching problems, the writers have no idea.
Well, no, here's the problem. This is George R.R. Martin's baby up until now.
Right. So now that
So now they don't have George R.R. Martin. And here's what I want to know: is George R.R. Martin like consulting with them? Then he's going to write the book and finish it based on this, or is he going to write some completely different book where the series ends in a completely different way than what we've been let off right now?
You're gonna have to read the book.
Well,
I know. I've read all the books.
This is the best selling point for him.
No,
I'm saying like you don't. Because you don't know because it's been taken out of his hands now, and these HBO people are finishing.
And as we all know, if it had actually taken this long for them to get there, winter with climate change would be 70 degrees.
Oh my God!
I'm just going to get that. We're done here.
Gosh.
We're done here.
I'm trying to get any other good moments. Who's the? Jenna's right. We really should.
I thought the Dothraki scene was.
The Dothraki that was messed up.
Don't.
And then the Unsullied going right after them.
No,
whose idea was that?
Who's the? I will say
Operation Human Shield.
The one moment I got a little teary eyed. I will admit. Who's the little child king queen or whatever?
Oh, you're talking about Mormont, Lyanna Mormont.
That was another cliche moment.
But that
come on, dude. She was getting crushed by the thing, and she jabbed him in the eyeball.
That's what Game of Thrones is about. Seeing children get strangled, and then she kills them at the last second.
Yeah, but they both died.
It reminds me of Jaws when Richard Goldblum's on the shark's back and stabs him in the eye.
Richard Dreyfuss?
Whatever.
God, you don't even know actors.
I don't know.
Look,
anything.
I will agree that for what a lot of people have come to expect from Game of Thrones, that was a letdown in terms of they didn't kill a bunch of people. But here's the thing: there's 3 more episodes left.
I'm so excited for the rest.
What was the overwhelming theory going into this week? It was that the Night King wasn't there because he was taking that ice dragon down to King's Landing and was going to destroy King's Landing.
Oh, I had not heard of that.
That was the overwhelming theory that a lot of people were saying. Guess what? That didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Kill both of them and just get rid of them both.
Right.
Essentially.
So that's the thing.
About that.
So now the story is, Cersei and Theon's uncle, backstabbing everybody, and now you've got all these people coming to get him. So I don't
know if this is a prevailing theory, but the one thing that I heard from another friend was that all of the guys that had died in the past were going to be risen from the dead.
Ned Stark?
Yeah, like Ned
Headless
Stark.
Ned Stark running around the crypt.
I know it doesn't make sense now, but now that you've seen the episode. But given, what's her name?
Sansa?
The Red Woman.
Oh, Melisandre.
Yeah, given what she can do and the other dude that came back from the dead 7 times. Yeah, Jenna's right. If I don't know the names, I have no business talking about this.
Whatever.
You don't have to know every single.
We have to be super fans.
Okay, you don't have to know.
You
don't have to know every single name in Game of Thrones because there's literally a million names.
But no, that was one of the thoughts. I was like, well, I mean, they're going to be in the crypt and they're going to be kind of chilling, waiting. I did expect people we had seen in the past episodes to come out of the.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that because I think that would have ruined. Well, I think as soon as we knew, I had when I saw that starting to happen, I was like, oh man, they're gonna bring back what's his face, the dude that Ned Stark.
No, who's the guy he was the hand of the king too. I forget his name. The first king.
Oh, Baratheon.
Baratheon.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't buried in Winterfell. That's the thing. I had a feeling going into the episode, I was like, okay, the Night King is coming to Winterfell. They're sending all the people down to the crypts.
I just want everyone to see Josh's. Or Josh is tuned out.
I can't wait to see the analytics for this episode. 90% people tuned out with 10 minutes.
Well, I'm just saying, they sent all of their people that they love down to the crypts, which is where all the dead are buried. And the guy is coming that can raise the dead. What did you think was going to happen? I knew I could see that coming from a mile away. Yeah. But they didn't do, like you said, and make us see people that we would have saw. But overall, I think a lot of people are banging on it. It's just funny to me.
I loved it.
I did too. I loved it. Again, that Arya Stark moment is a top 5 television moment for me. That's right there with
The Wire has ruined everything for me.
Well, The Wire's great.
I can't watch anything else.
I've never seen The Wire.
Figures.
Well, now you need to binge watch that. Exactly. But I'll say this: it delivered for me the moments that I wanted it to, and we still have a lot left in these 3
I don't often get those raw moments out of TV because I normally am not. I'm invested in the story, but
we've invested years of our lives.
But the thing is I know it's a TV show. I was fully engulfed in what was going on in the show.
Me too.
I had for all I knew in that moment, that was happening in real life.
And I'll say this too: for the people, because the two complaints I found hilarious. The first one was, oh man, they're going to kill off all our favorite characters. Then a week later, they didn't kill off any of our characters. That's the one thing I found funny. The second thing I found funny is people just complaining about, I couldn't see anything. Well, guess what? In war, you can't. Yeah, because it made it.
I thought that was good too.
It made me uneasy, like you would be uneasy.
I did like
in that moment. Like if you don't have crystal clear HD vision when it's snowing outside.
Yeah, I was expecting like Jamie's throat to get cut randomly out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Brienne gets her head chopped off, something like that.
Like you were on edge the entire time. Yeah. It was very anxiety created that way that they shot it. And one last thing for me, I thought the misdirect on Arya getting the kill was brilliantly done, because the whole time it's Jon Snow on the dragon battling the Night King dragon. They fall off. They're standing there. The Night King raises the dead. Jon Snow has to fight off all these people trying to get him. The friggin' dragon comes down, and he's the last thing between Jon Snow and getting to the Night King. So you're like, okay, he's going to either slay this dragon, or somebody's going to come, or Dany's going to come with her dragon, they're going to kill, whatever. And then out of nowhere, Arya Stark gets the moment. So the myth, because that one moment with Melisandre where she was like, the God of the Dead, what do you tell the God of the Dead? Not today. And then she runs off, and you don't see her again until she's jumping at the Night King. So the misdirect I thought was really good.
I did think there was going to be something with the faces.
Oh,
I knew at that point, I was like, all right, it's going to be Arya.
You know what I
thought it was
kind of
something
think?
with the faces. I thought she was going to be one of the other White Walkers.
You know how that one White Walker looked?
Yeah, that's what I thought that was.
Maybe she was one of those. Or maybe she was somebody who played dead. We don't know yet, and I think we might find out, because I'm sure that there could be a scene where Bran or Jon or somebody says, how'd you do it?
Oh, here's the question is, who's killing, I forget her name now.
Cersei?
Yeah, who's killing Cersei?
Maybe no one.
Oh. No, it's got to end happen.
And that's the thing, though. Everybody wants to pretend that this show's either too predictable or not predictable enough. The Red Wedding completely threw me off to the point of, I'm not going to put anything past the show created.
It doesn't have to be a happy ending, but Cersei still needs to die.
My big prediction is we're going to get a Jon versus Dany. Uncle versus her aunt versus nephew.
I know it's weird, but
she didn't look too happy when he found out that he was the heir. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, for sure. But again, it doesn't matter when you're facing death.
But guess what? They're not facing death now.
I don't know. All right.
Well, they might be. I think you're always facing death in Westeros.
Yes.
No, I have nothing more to add.
Nothing more to add.
I got really heated.
You can find me at Eric G. Quintana. You can find Josh.
You can find me at JoshB914 on the Twitters.
At Sam J. Franco.
You can follow the podcast at MOTS Podcast. Again, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, MOTS Podcast on YouTube. You can donate to the podcast. Patreon.com/MOTS Podcast. Follow Dirty South Soccer for all the latest news and notes regarding Atlanta United. And again, that Sporting KC match, Sunday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock start. Central time, I think so. I think 7 there.
Late night.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm going to try to take Monday off. I got like 4 vacation days I got to take between now and June. I've already got like 2 weeks off.
Josh, do you know how to flip that little lever on your phone that makes it not do that the entire podcast?
Look, you're just jealous no one texted you.
Oh, I've gotten plenty of texts. I just know how to turn it off.
Hoping good things this coming up Sunday. Hoping we're talking about Atlanta United victory. Hope we're talking about another Atlanta United 3 points. Until next time. See you later, Atlanta.
I drink and I know things.
What?
I drink and I know things.
Oh. Bye-bye.
Adios.
So
What battery do I have?